I came across this very interesting terminology the other day. You know, I made a video about America on my channel, and somebody in the comments used this word I'd never heard before, and I think it's hilarious. Affluenza.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, do you want to explain what's going on
First,
here?
let's look at this graph.
Okay.
You know, if it's me, it's going to be a graph.
It's going to be, yes, guys. Remember last time we had a thing about, do you like finance?
Economics.
It's finance.
No, it's economics.
Was it? I'm pretty sure it was a bit
do
of both.
you care about segments about the Chinese economy?
And finance. Yeah. I think we need to get you a calculator or something. Maybe one of those, you know, those caps and that green lamp.
You're going to have to tell 81% of our audience to get.
Yeah, but I think, yes. And then you get that strap on your arm.
It's literally my nightmare.
Yeah, and you know, you sit there and you like.
I hate that stuff, but I do like to make sure I'm on top of how China's economy is going because we are the China show.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, this is about America's economy.
Oh, wow.
I just thought this is very funny.
Okay.
So this is hilarious. So this is when you ask Americans how their finances are doing. Okay.
Yes.
72% of Americans say that they're at least doing okay. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you ask Americans, how is the national economy? Right. 22% of them say it's doing okay. Okay. So I just out of curiosity, dear my fellow Americans.
Can we throw in an ABP?
Yeah.
America Back Party, America Back.
If 72% of you are saying that your finances are doing at least okay, what insight do you have into this deep lore that you have about the national economy that you know so much about how things are going? Do you work in the mint?
Maybe.
So to me, I would say,
yep.
And I think most people would say up until now, until this incredible hatred for their own country that has really taken off with Americans.
Yep.
In my opinion, due to Russian and Chinese propaganda.
A big
part of it, at least.
Yeah.
Where do you equate this? Because if you ask someone in 2008 and you said, how's the economy doing? They'll say it's bad, right?
Yes.
And they'll say, how are your finances doing? Probably pretty bad,
Yep.
right? Those two things intersect.
Yes.
So how can you personally be doing fine?
Yeah, 72% of you are doing fine.
But the national economy is doing real bad. It's like, I'm personally doing fine, but man, I heard about the economy just tanking. It's just really hitting the dirt.
Yeah, this is a very good way to show how effective this division that's being sowed.
It really is. To me, these things probably normally align much closer.
Yes.
And it's crazy how much media and propaganda has really pushed people to think their lives, maybe they're fine, but like everything's bad. Everything's falling apart. Pretty crazy.
It is crazy.
Meanwhile, things can actually be falling apart in places like China.
But they think it's doing fine.
It's doing fine, right? It's this weird duality. It's absolutely nuts to me. So affluenza, I think, is a beautiful term.
Yes.
It's a real term, apparently.
It is, yeah.
And that you can read it if you want
Well,
to.
it's a social condition that presents itself in privileged individuals who believe they will not be held accountable for their actions because of there's many different definitions here.
I want you to read through them. This is all related to ABP.
Yeah. Individuals who suffer from affluenza fail to recognize the social repercussions of their actions, which may cause mental or physical harm or anguish upon others. And the social scientists blame the appearance of affluenza on contemporary culture that fetishizes wealth but provides strategies to avoid this social condition. Some symptoms of affluenza are an all-consuming focus on work and earning money and a self-image tied directly to financial status.
So the summation of this is affluenza is a social condition that arises from the desire to be more wealthy or successful, and it can also be defined as the inability of an individual to understand the consequences of their actions because of their social status or economic privilege. So this idea that it's so much better off than most people in the world if you really just look at the world.
Yeah.
But you think because you're so important and you're the center of the universe that your situation is somehow worse than everyone else's.
Yeah.
And until you got to understand how much this pisses off people like Winston and I who have lived in underdeveloped countries and seen what poverty looks like and have traveled to 30 plus countries around the world and seen this.
Yeah.
You don't realize how good people have it, especially in the US. and they just and it's one thing if you do complain. I think that's great to complain and question and to move forward and ask these questions so that things can improve.
Yeah.
But to not acknowledge that other people have it so much worse off than you.
Yeah, it is a sickness. I find it's a weird thing, guys. Every single time you want to say there's a problem in China or any place in the world, if I make a video about South Africa, immediately people are like, oh, if you think that's bad, downtown Chicago, or if you think that's bad, America's going to be like that in a few years, or you think that's bad, America this, America that. It's kind of a weird thing where people that are actually in a good position, they want to be in a bad position so bad. I don't know what it is.
It's like a fantasy.
It's weird.
And I, by the way, 100% acknowledge that people in America are, a lot of them, in a bad position.
Sure.
But it's so overwhelming how much a lot of people refuse to believe that things are happening very badly in other countries.
Yeah.
And somehow their situation isn't the worst. It's like they get slighted.
Yeah,
it's
they're
like,
like,
no,
how
my
dare-
situation is worse.
How dare you say that, China's economy is struggling?
In fact, I've seen a lot of
Yeah.
and a lot of this, again, is Russian bots and China bots,
Yeah.
right? But there is some of our audience, which I've noticed, that have previously supported us in the past that are now saying things like, well, yeah, okay, I get it, and I trust your China news and stuff, but you got to realize that your guys are being hypocritical because America's worse than China now. So we're supposed to now say all of these things that we have experience with, being, somewhat China experts, and can actually talk with authority on a lot of these topics because we understand the country, live there over a decade, and speak the language, and still talk to people there, right?
Correct.
We're somehow now supposed to say that the country we currently live in can observe with our own eyes,
Yes.
can taste, feel, and touch, and know is superior on every front with
Every
freedom,
metric.
freedom of speech, everything, wealth,
Law and order.
income equality, crazy
Yeah.
enough.
Yes.
Such a ridiculous thing in America, which is it's very low income equality, right?
Inequality,
Compared to China, it is life is vastly superior on almost every single metric.
Correct.
Yet now, some of the audience is angry because we're not saying that America is worse than China.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it
it's
is nuts.
absolutely nuts to me. That's
Well,
ADP.
ADP. Yeah. It's one of the most cringe, horrible memories that I have because
It's kind of a theme for this show.
what I saw on that camera, it kind of scarred me. And she's doing that, crawling around, doing dude looked like jerky. He was like a really old man. You know what I mean? He just looked like jerky.
And I can actually look back and pinpoint the moments where I became a douchebag. It was the Shape of Your Heart from NSYNC, if my memory
I'm gonna
serves.
puke in my mouth here. It's like, ugh. Yeah.
Whatever, dude.
He said, "Open your mouth." Then he put into his mouth a hot piece of quartz. Then they beat the bride in
What is the moral of that story?
There is no moral. That's just the story.
When I close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind